basically today's session, you're going to pitch me. So I am working on a story now, and I've gotten a ton of amazing pitches from amazing entrepreneurs really around the globe, that not only those that have gone through our course, some that went through our course, many beforehand, before we even started the course. We actually began research for this story long before that, and had tons of pitches from both PR agencies and entrepreneurs. And really the story focus and the idea for this story is that there are so many different ways that you can power up your PR efforts. So you absolutely, just like when you're thinking about building your website, sometimes some people want to learn how to do it themselves. Other times people want to have someone help them and do it with them. Some people just want to pay a lot of money and have it solved for them. So with PR, it's much the same. The difference is that I think just the term PR over the last few decades, and especially the last decade, if not even more so the last 5 years, has really changed and evolved in terms of what PR actually even means. So the word PR and what that means has really evolved. And so we'll talk today, and I'll explain the difference between paid, owned, earned, and social media, and what that means for you when you're making decisions about how you really create your PR roadmap and what you invest in terms of advertising for your business, or earned media, which is not advertising, and understanding the difference and some of the opportunities out there that are free and that really just take a bit of effort and understanding on your part to understand how to really effectively leverage them in a way that scales your business. So that's what we'll be focusing on today. And you guys will have an opportunity to pitch me for the story I'm working on about this, which is going to be in the Huffington Post. What I'm looking at is basically the different ways. So whether you work with a PR agency, whether you're a DIY entrepreneur who decides to do it themselves. And because we've had so many amazing stories that I've been inspired by, many of you that have gone through the 5 days course or the 10 weeks course, we'll be featuring some of the quotes that we're looking through now and we're receiving. And so on this call, we'll absolutely share the email address for you guys to pitch. We're using Help a Reporter Out as the journalist sourcing site to gather information and queries for that story. And I've just been so inspired by all of you who've had amazing media mentions and media wins, who've gone through the various trainings and really taken it upon yourselves to implement your own PR. So whether you're a big brand or whether you're a small business owner, really understanding some of these foundational tactics with PR to help you leverage it for your own business is really exciting. And so we're excited to feature that in this upcoming story. And so for those of you who have those really cool stories, definitely please get them into us so we can consider it as we're going through the research and really just developing and evolving that story now. So a little bit about me. I am a publicist. I've been a publicist for about 2 decades. I actually started off as a war correspondent. I wanted to cover the war in Afghanistan right around 2001. I didn't actually believe in the war, and I wanted to go over there and cover it as a journalist. And so that's what I did. And I had really an amazing opportunity to get to know many of the soldiers and civilians that were supporting that effort and really just cover the war. And so I dealt a lot with crisis communications, and then after coming back, really applied many of the lessons learned at a large level to many other more proactive campaigns, both in business and in the government sector over the last 2 decades. So that's been a large part of my career. Recently was inducted into the League of Top Women in PR and was very honored and humbled and grateful for that. But I've had an opportunity to work with clients from L'Oreal and the Environmental Protection Agency, and most recently the Federal Emergency Management Agency, and many, many entrepreneurs, small businesses, and big brands, just to help them power up their PR efforts. And at the end of the day, ultimately, my belief is always that it's all about innovation. So because PR is often very, very connected to digital media and social media, many of the things that you need to know are very connected to sort of the evolution of what's effective, what's working right now to land major press. And one of the things that we do in our PR trainings is help you jump. So whether you're basic and you've never had a media mention, or whether you've had media mentions that maybe really haven't made a difference in your business, that's one of the things we focus on, because oftentimes People think it's just about getting the media mentions, and really it's not. It's really about so much more than that, because if you just have the media mentions, that's really not enough to power up your PR efforts. You really have to combine the media mentions with understanding how those media mentions will effectively help you to scale your business. And so that's what we work with our clients to do, whether we're doing it for them or we're helping them to do it themselves. So we're really excited about the PR influencers community. We have created a Facebook group just very recently, and we have had just a wonderful opportunity for many, many people to join up and be part of that community. So if you haven't already, please do join us in the Facebook community. We allow and encourage promotion because it is a business community where people are posting and often wanting to seek engagement for their business. But what we ask is that you always pay it forward. So as a business owner, help another business owner. And before you post something that's self-promotional, post something in response to something else that has been posted, so that we keep the community always a place and space for engagement and really paying it forward. So that's super important, and one of the things that we really look to and do. What we're launching at the moment is the new course, 10 Weeks to Media Mentions That Convert. We've already had a number of folks, many of you have been early adopters to the program, and we're really excited for that. And just grateful for the feedback and information. That course goes live on June 13th. It is a live course. It's a live training course for those that are really interested in increasing their influence and really just sharing a broader message and having a bigger impact with the world. So if you're already in the course, we're glad that we have you. We're really excited to have your feedback power up what all of the entrepreneurs that will be joining us on June 13th will be experiencing. And we're really, really grateful for just all of the wins that we've seen many of you have, because for you guys, it's really about implementation. We're not doing it for you. We're giving you advice and understanding so that you can develop the instincts and really be powerful to power up your own PR efforts. And we've seen that happen, and excited about many of the media wins that we've seen from those in the course. So just most recently, Meg, who is actually the CEO of Mama Says, which is an organic plant-based food delivery service, just shared with us, I believe it was yesterday, that they booked a documentary. And so she was just so excited. And I think gratitude and paying it forward is one of the things that we're so grateful for. And having an understanding of how to capture images, how to tell your story, how to shape your message in a way that really resonates with your ideal clients is really a key part of PR and what we aim to help people to understand and how to effectively do. Not just from a theoretical level, but really from an implementation level. So this course really is about implementation and standing by your side, holding your hand to help give you guidance so that you can really implement and see a difference in your own efforts. So that's what we're really excited to do. And we're really excited for those of you that are already on board to be able to do that and to help us tell the story so that people don't feel like the only option is to pay a PR firm to do it for you. Because certainly that can be a great option and you can see great results there. And for certain people, if you're very, very busy, and that is, really, I think it depends on your own approach. But we want to make sure that people understand that there are options. And so this is one of them. If you have the time to invest either with yourself or with a virtual assistant, then this course is designed to really help you implement in a way that makes a huge difference in scaling your business. So that's what we're really excited about. So for the story that you guys are pitching me on today, what we really want you to do is to own your story. So I want to know from you, and this will have you guys, you have an opportunity to pitch. How has your experience with the media helped to land you, the DIY tactics, either in the free 5 days course or in the 10 weeks course? We want to hear from you. What have you done to power up your PR? What did you learn in the course that was valuable? And even for those of you who didn't take the course, because we're really looking at multiple different avenues, what maybe were your experiences that in the same vein that perhaps you did to really help power up your PR efforts? So that's what the story is all about, because publicity really can help you scale your business. It can be incredible and amazing to increase your influence, to really grow and attract your ideal clients, to increase your authority, and to reposition your brand. And I think a lot of people have the experience where they maybe have media mentions, but they don't understand the 4 different types of media mentions, and they don't understand how to effectively translate that into something that scales their business effectively. So those are some of the things that we cover in the 10 weeks course. We really go in depth more to help people understand not only how to increase their influence, because that's something that Media Mentions will do. It will help you to increase your influence. It will help you to reposition your brand and increase your authority. But we want to help people to really move beyond that and increase their business growth. So how do you really understand how to equate your media mentions to business development? And that's what 10 weeks to Media Mentions That Convert is all about. If you notice, the difference between 5 days to Media Mentions, that's a course that we sort of delivered enormous value on. We gave people tons of resources, and we were so inspired and grateful to see people, like, just in the first 3 days have incredible Media Mentions. But that course does not go in depth on how to scale your business. And at the end of the day, Media Mentions for business owners, really for most of them, are really about wanting to scale your business. And so in our more intermediate and advanced trainings, that's what we go into, because business development is something that we really think is at the core of understanding how to effectively use earned media and PR in a way where it scales your business. So excited to dive in with you guys and hear your pitches related to that. We've had tons of you just weigh in, and we've been so honored and grateful for many of the reviews that have been shared on the course so far. So let me just say thank you for all of you who have just really shared your stories with us. And that's what kind of inspired us for this article. We wanted to have a bigger platform to tell your stories, because honestly, the story is amazing. The story of all of you who have just shown up and really implemented in a really incredible way has been so inspiring to me and my team. And as far as what we continue to do and how we continue to make these offerings available. So thank you to those of you that have done that, because really getting out there to share your story with a broader audience and a bigger audience is really one of the things that this is all about. And for many of us, it's not just about making more money. Obviously, that's a benefit as a business owner, but oftentimes it's much more than that. You know, many of you I'm so inspired by, because really your message is very purpose-driven. It's connected with your own purpose and how you connect that purpose with what you're doing and what you're providing to the world. So telling your story is not just about making more money. It's really about getting out there in a way that's connected to your own purpose. And that certainly is true for me. I love storytelling and helping people with a purpose, passionate to share that purpose with a bigger and broader audience, to share that story in a meaningful way. These are my twins. They are 2.5. They like to say they're about to be 3, London and Miles. And I think that, you know, if you feel like your PR dreams are just out of reach, one of the things that we do in the 10 weeks course is really to help people to just understand how they leverage paid, owned, earned, and social media in a way that really helps them to get to the next step. So our team, we have an amazing team kind of working behind the scenes to power stuff up. I'm so grateful for them, and I'm so grateful for you guys. You know, we've had many of you guys be amazing influencers who, you know, from the week that we started with the first challenge until now have just really helped us to see this goal. And so every week we've been doing a spotlight with different influencers. This week we decided to just make this about all of you. So all of you get the chance to spotlight this week, because our goal really is to democratize PR for those of you who have a message. And so we have a lot of, you know, really cool things planned for you today. I'm not going to go through a lot of these because we've kind of talked about these on different slides, and many of you guys know this. One thing though that I definitely will focus on today is getting out of your comfort zone. So that's one of the reasons and why we host this, is to kind of give you a taste of what we do in our more intermediate and advanced trainings. And one of those things is just really moving beyond your comfort zone. You know, not many people do it, but when you do it, you can experience so much growth. And I think definitely sharing your story with a larger, broader audience can feel scary. It can definitely push you beyond your comfort zone. But when you do it, it can be so rewarding. And not only in terms of the intrinsic value, but also in terms of just really, you know, scaling your business. So that's what we want to try and help you with. And we really do especially see in PR that there are often 3 barriers. So people are either sort of stuck on mindset, which is not wanting to move past their comfort zone. knowledge, which is not understanding really. People don't even know what PR means. And there's a lot of misunderstanding and misinformation out there when it comes to what PR actually is. And then implementation. Some of us, are just very, very busy, and so understanding how to sort of effectively scale your business and ways that you can do that, whether you want to hire a PR agency to do it for you, or understanding that there are other options if you don't want to do that, and you want to perhaps have a bit more control over it, or do it in a way where you're scaling your business in a different way. So I'll talk about that for a moment, these different PR solutions. For some people, certainly word of mouth, and I see our slides we've had a little bit of issues with Canva. We use Canva as an awesome resource because we're a virtual team, but I see some of these have not gone all on the screen, but I'll explain it for you. So there's word of mouth. So word of mouth, I hear this from a lot of people who are really successful, and we have this, right? So we get tons of business just from existing clients and from people that have heard about us, right? We have tons of word of mouth referrals. And I think that's amazing and fantastic, and I'm always so grateful for that. And I am always inspired by people who say, oh, no, I don't need to do any advertising, I don't need to do PR because I just rely on word of mouth. And I think that's great. And if you fall into that category, for some people, they're comfortable in that category, and that's definitely where they should be. But if you're someone who feels like you're not reaching your full potential, and you have this desire to have a great impact, then oftentimes if you have such amazing word of mouth, you're the type of person that if you just add a sprinkle of really great PR into that, and maybe not even really great PR, just some intentional PR into your efforts, then you would be just amazed with the outcome and the impact that you can have. Because I think so many people these days, especially when we have so much on social media, think that social media is a PR plan, but really social is not a PR plan. Social media is a very integral part of the PR plan, and we use social media through content amplification and even through paid advertising after having earned media coverage to really power that up, and in addition to email marketing, to share that very intentionally with a direct following. But social media, by all means, is not a PR plan on its own. It's really only a part of a PR plan. So it's really important to understand that and understand how that fits into your overall PR roadmap so that you can really be intentional about how you are attracting new clients into your business and into your practice. So done for you services, they can have high monthly retainers. I think, that's one of the things this story will focus on. They can offer immense value. So when you're hiring an expert, when you're hiring somebody who really knows what they're doing to do it for you, and you just walk away, that can be amazing. I think one problem though with a lot of entrepreneurs is oftentimes they don't want to just walk away, right? Like they want to have some hands-on, some idea. And oftentimes they, as the business owner, do have a good sense of potentially, what would make the most impact, what would be the best. And so they don't want to just hand it off over to someone else entirely. But really, when you're hiring someone to do it for you, that's what you're doing. You're giving away the reins, you're giving away that control, and you're paying quite a premium for that to happen as well. So that's not always the best solution, but it can offer a tremendous amount of value, a tremendous amount of benefit, and it is a solution. But oftentimes, like for our agency, those retainers can start at $5,000 a month. They often have a 6-month initial retainer at a minimum, because often for the done-for-you solutions, agencies, when they invest in you as a client, then they need to know that you're there for the long haul, because they can't guarantee that they're going to see results right away. So there really are no guarantees, and often there's a large investment up front. The other solution, the last solution, is very similar to what we're doing with 10 weeks to media mentions that convert. And that's really a done with you, where you're having an agency help you to understand how to learn and leverage paid, owned, earned, and social media. So really by understanding foundationally what is different and what is at the core of each of these, you are then able to power up your own PR efforts in a way that really helps you scale your influence and raise your business and reach your own business development goals. So it gives you a lot of power, and especially right now when we have a lot of discounted pricing available for our early birds, it gives you an opportunity to do it at a much lower price point than what you would do with someone who was doing it for you. So going to talk about pitch best practices before we jump in. These are some of the members in our VIP circle who are part of the 10 weeks program. Friendly stock. So do your research. So many of you guys have done your research. So for the story today, I've gotten so many pitches already. I've gotten, so many notes. But we always say, most of the weeks we have a different insider that we feature on these panels. And I always encourage you guys to friendly stalk them. So most of you are already, we're connected on Facebook and Twitter and all of the different channels, LinkedIn. And I think it's really important to understand what channels someone is using. And then when you reach out to them on all of those different channels, it makes their phone buzz. Like when you're literally making their phone buzz and vibrate before or after immediately you're pitching them and you're offering them value, oftentimes they can't help but really pay attention. So that's one of the best pieces of advice that we really offer and provide students. And just that, it's so simple, but it makes a huge difference. And I would say that's a very basic tip. And one of the cool things is with PR is that you simply don't know what you don't know. So with pitching, there are there's so many more kind of advanced strategies and advanced techniques that you can do. I like to say that templates are not the best way to pitch. Templates are a good starting point, but really it's about understanding and learning how to leverage the different types of PR opportunities out there for your business. And that's why we designed this as a live course. So we could really give feedback in real time and not just give you worksheets to sort of work through on your own, but actually be available to answer your questions in real time in a group setting so that you could not only learn for your own business, but also learn from the successes and failures of others. Because pitching is also about persistence. And so I want those of you who, many of you have had amazing media wins, and I think that's the key, right, is that you just have to stay with it. If nothing else, when you're applying all of these pitch best practices, you really have to understand that you really need to stick with it and be persistent, because that's where you'll have success in really powering up your PR efforts. So I'm really excited today to give you guys an opportunity to pitch. And with that, I'm going to go off screen, stop sharing my screen and bring some of you guys on camera. Okay, let's see. Oh, hi, Mary. Okay, you're taking notes. Thank you. Okay, we are going to make sure that we can see you guys all. So get ready. For those of you who would like to come on camera, please do. Let's see here. I'm giving you, and please just raise your hand if you're ready to go on camera. What we'll do is make sure, hi, Cha, nice to see you. We'll make sure that those of you guys that are in the VIP circle get a chance to go first, and then we can kind of go from there. Hi, Donna, nice to see you. Hi, Natalie. Let's see. Okay, so what we'll do here, okay, Shamanth, hi, nice to see you. I think I've got everyone here. Oh, Jody, hi. Meg, hello. Okay, so, and what I'd love to do too, if you guys are okay with it, we'd love to be able to use some of these clips, and just share them. If you guys, I think PR is all about, we joke and say, like, I love to say PR is all about substance and self-promotion. So it's all about having this amazing, you have an amazing story. And one of the homework assignments coming up for you guys is actually going to be to log into a really cool site called Awardees and search out to see which of these awards that are recommended for your particular genre of business are ones that you might be a good candidate for, and then apply for them, because so many of you have amazing, amazing expertise. So many of you have already won amazing awards. But really logging in and kind of doing that homework and doing that research and then taking the time to apply for those can be really critical and really help you guys in just, continuing to power up your PR efforts. So we want to make sure that we're identifying and helping you see those opportunities. But we'd love to be able to share, this video, even maybe including some parts of it in the Huffington Post. So I hope that all of you guys are good with that. If you guys are good with that, just give me a thumbs up so I know that that's something that is good. Thank you, Cha. Okay, thank you. And Meg, Shaman, you guys are good with that? If you guys, okay, awesome. So yeah, let's dive right in, and I'd love to hear your pitches. And then please be sure also, Cha, if you could send them the email for the pitches as well. Please also just make sure you send in like 1 to 3 written sentences, because we'll use part of this probably as the video pitch that goes in, but then we'll use the written sentences that you have in the actual stories, because obviously it's a written story. But oftentimes now, many stories are done with multimedia, so it's nice to be able to have this as an option, and we may be able to use some of these excerpts as well. So Pam, I see you here. I'd love to start with you. If you want to go ahead and unmute yourself, we can just dive right in. And you know, again, the story, I'll give you just another quick primer, is about the many different ways of PR. So we'll talk about agency. In fact, I interviewed and spoke with one woman, Elizabeth Edwards of Volume PR, who has a really amazing story. The ROI that she has helped with one of her one-on-one clients is just incredible. You know, and so we have, you know, had many clients experience that on the one-on-one side. I think, you know, that's a much more expensive option, but when the ROI is there, it can really help with big brands and big businesses. I know personally, you know, I've done millions of dollars in AVE for big brands and big businesses. That's very different than a small business. So that's why I wanted to tell the story, to unpack what, as a small business owner or a big business, there are these opportunities for PR that exist beyond just, you know, a corporation having $10 or $12 or $15,000 a month to spend on PR. For small businesses, you know, how they can sometimes achieve the same results, you know, very similarly by taking on the implementation themselves or doing that in conjunction with perhaps virtual assistants. So that's kind of what the story is about, and really excited to hear your guys' experience. And yeah, that to help tell that story as we get ready to you know, continue figuring out and finalizing the research for it. So without further ado, Pam, I would love to welcome you to go first.
So Mary, just quick question. So this is more about just our experience in the course so far, right? So we're just pitching you on how we've experienced and what we've experienced and our wins and our biggest aha moments, right? So it's not like connecting it back to our business or anything like that. It's just simply what we've learned and what we've experienced.
It can be both. So I think
Okay.
Shamak had a great example. Shamak posted hers already in one of the chains in the 10 weeks private group, and it's really about, yes, at the end of the day, it's all about business development. So it's, what did you learn that helped you? What have you learned either in the course so far? What were your aha moments? It could be any of those things you mentioned, or also the bigger picture on how it connects to business development and your overall growth of your business. Because at the end of the day, that's really the whole point of why we do all of this, right?
Right. Okay. So my biggest aha moments were, and I think it's like so simple to do, but it's connecting with people like on an individual basis, right? And it's not just sending in a pitch to like a black hole, but it's kind of getting your name out there and, you know, liking their stuff or connecting with them on Twitter or LinkedIn, or sending them like a little message, or even when you pitch them, connecting them and relating it to them somehow, some way as an opener, and saying, you know, I saw your recent article, really loved XYZ, whatever it may be, right? Like a quote from the article or something. And it's something so simple, and it's something that I've done like when I interview for like the corporate world, but it's transferable to the online world as well. And so that was like my biggest aha moment, where it was, oh, like all of these things that I used to do when I was in the corporate world still apply in the online world, and it should still be doing it in the online world. And one of the biggest accomplishments for me was pitching, right? So I was really scared and really frightened to pitch, and wasn't in that right mindset, and wasn't in that, didn't have the confidence. But when I started to look back, and when you brought up a good point where it's, you have expertise, right? I have 10 plus years of experience coaching. I have my master's, I have my bachelor's, you know, I have all this expertise, and it may not be in the online world, but it is I've done it in the offline world. So I can bring it to the online world, because it's the same skills that apply out there, apply here in the online world. It's the same thing. And so, you know, my biggest accomplishment was just taking that mindset that I used to have and going out there and putting myself out there. And so I actually applied those skills that you gave us to an online summit. So I submitted myself to an online summit and related to the person who was looking for the online summit, led with my expertise first, and then connected it back to, you know, I want to help people pursue their dreams, and I want to help them build their brand so that they make an impact on the world and share their message and spread their knowledge. And I got accepted. So I'm doing an online summit in June. So that was like my biggest accomplishment from here, being able to take your skills, and it's not just like for news articles or for online magazines. It could apply to anything like online summits and online interviews and online podcasts and everything. All these skills apply to every medium and every channel.
I love that. And yes, I think we went beyond the time. I think I saw Sean message me. We went over the time, but I'm glad that we did, because I think that's the point, right? Is that a lot of these skills are completely transferable, and they go not only to what you can do when you're pitching yourself for media, but also to so many other avenues for business development. So I love to hear that. Thank you for sharing that. That's fantastic. And yeah, I think in your written pitch, I think definitely the goal is to really condense and compel it. But I think that for me as a journalist and writing that story, I think the biggest piece of it that I would want to focus on is the fact that you realize, realizing the part that you talked about realizing that it's not only applicable for media, but it's applicable for so many other spaces. I think that's really the story, right? That's the golden nugget. So I love that, and thank you for sharing. And great job pitching too. I really love to see your pitching. I think this environment and pitching on camera is good. And then we'll post these. These are available to students that are already enrolled in the course in the 10-week section. So in the dashboard, you guys will have an opportunity to go see this. And I really encourage people, like, go back and watch yourself pitching, because that's one of the best ways. You won't always have an opportunity to pitch on camera. Many times by the time you pitch on email or on social and use all the best practices that we teach you in the course, but oftentimes when you're actually then on camera, it's when you're actually doing the interview. So one of the best things that you can do to learn and grow and develop and continue to improve your on-camera presence is what we do with the VIPs in the VIP circle, is be on camera and see sort of how your pitch evolves over time, but also same thing in these weekly calls. It's great to go back and review your own pitch, because that's one of the best ways. When I was on camera hosting the NBC Today show in Honolulu, every day watching my own segments was how I would go back and look and improve and say, oh, I didn't like that I did that, and just really improve my own on-camera presence. So I encourage you to do that, and love to see you continue to grow and evolve as before we've even begun the program. But thank you for sharing that, and really excited and love that for the story. Thank you so much, Pam.
Thank you, Mary.
Awesome. And hi, Donna. I see Donna's joined us. Nice to have you, Donna. All right, Meg, would you like to go next? Do you want to be? I actually already know some of your story. It's really exciting for this week.
There. Hi, Mary. How are you?
Good.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I'm delighted to be here, and thanks for the opportunity. For those who don't know me, my name is Meg Donahue, and I own a company called Mama Says. We're a plant-based Whole Foods meal delivery company. And I started this course, there was a vibe about it that just struck me. And so I did some friendly stalking of Mary and your background, and got to see that, wow, she's got chops here, and is this for real? Because there was so much information and so much content, and it was so generous. And so just very quickly, some of the highlights. Even before I had started the 5 weeks to media mention, or like day 2, I was on a webinar with Brandfolder. I asked a question about a piece we had gotten, a nice article that we had written prior to this course. What should I do with it? And you made a suggestion to send it out to our email list and to promote it on Facebook. And that seems like a no-brainer, but I didn't know it. I'm a real newbie. And so boom, we did it, and our sales literally went up 25%. Now we're a startup, so that's, in perspective, but it's a very big leap for us, and it means a lot to us. The other things that I did is I focused on one of the things that you model really well, I think, is developing a relationship, which is very different. You're very personal, and it's for real. And you reached out in ways that mattered to me, and so tried to model that in my pitches. And so what we've done is do our research about every single person that we pitch to. We find out, is it really resonate with what we do? And because our main purpose in my business is to tell this story, because it's a powerful story, and I wanted to tell it well. And so did some, again, friendly stalking with a doctor that I saw was doing very impressive work with a documentary called Code Blue that she was developing. Went to see her at a seminar, approached her to just say, I love your work and love what you're doing, told her a little bit about us, and that we have something that could be of value to her clients, because we give food that she wants her patients to eat. And we just started talking, and we clicked, and had the opportunity to be asked to be in the Code Blue documentary, which is a huge boon for us, because the they're really, you know, pillars in that field that we get to be alongside. The other thing that happened is in sending out that first time you said send out that first story to your list, somebody picked it up at the T. Colin Campbell Center and saw it and reached out to us and asked us to write a series of articles for them. And again, they have done the heavy lifting, you know, in this field for 25 years. We do the food part and the relationship part, and to be able to be a part of that just is tremendous. I know it wouldn't have happened if I hadn't been in this course. There are so many little things that are important. One, your attention to detail. I think I'm going over 45 seconds, but you know, my pitches were like reading Anna Karenina, and now I'm trying to get them to a haiku where they're a lot quicker. Mary's very, very kind and just says, oh, be concise. You also said focus on the medical side of it, which we had in theory, but we really honed our pitches to that. We had a really interesting development come up 2 days ago where we're going to be talking with the doctor and hopefully developing some products for him and working with him on another movie that he is promoting. So it's really kind of zoomed in a way. And I have to say that one of the things that happened for us is we started doing these things, and I was just, you know, a newbie. We had hired a PR firm, so I know that experience. They were great people. It just wasn't a good fit. And when I saw what Mary was offering compared to what we paid considerable amount for, I said, this is like one of those ground floor opportunities where if you can get in now, it's not going to be like this forever because it's going to get a lot bigger. That's my sense of it. So I feel really fortunate to be a part of it. And I've just followed directions. You know, I've just been Forrest Gump in here. Like, you say this, I do it. You say this, I do it. And it works. And the other piece is that it's not my most comfortable thing to pitch, but I feel like I can be ugly here. I can make mistakes. It's okay. And just keep going, bunches of punches. That's what we say. Just keep going. Just keep trying and look at yourself. You might be hard, but go ahead and do it. And you've been just really open and allowed me to find that space where, you know, I don't have confidence in this area, but I can practice and I can get it. And everyone is really kind and knowledgeable. So that's kind of the top 4 or 5 highlights just in the, 3 weeks we've been doing this.
Thank you. Well,
prior that I was stalking.
I love that, and I love your idea of turning it into haiku. So I think that I mean, everything. It's funny because I mean, so much of what you said I think really resonated with me. But it's interesting too when you're pitching how certain things can sort of stand out and like stick, right? So if you use those type of, like, so much of what you said is brilliant. So I'm gonna hit on a couple things, but just the haiku. When you guys think about pitching and how you reach out to someone, when you use those sort of analogies, those are the type that really stick with people and that make people, like, it resonates with them. So think about that as you think about like what you share. But I just love hearing the success, and then also your experience with persistence, I think is really, really key, because, you know, you guys have had an amazing amount of success. You've taken, you know, and really it's been your own efforts, right? I'm so glad that my advice has been helpful, and that like warms my heart, honestly, to hear you say all of those things, but it's been you guys doing the work. So, and especially too, as a startup, I think for the news value, right? So the news value for this story, I think the biggest thing is seeing the business development. So seeing that increase in sales. And then I think, like you said, a lot of people don't realize that content amplification is huge. So once you get the media mentions, then understanding how to effectively turn around and really package them in a way. And I mean, we haven't even started the course, right? This is just true. We've had the pre-publicity, like the pre-publicity calls with the VIPs that we've been doing. So I'm so fortunate and grateful that you guys have had such an amazing experience. But I'm excited to see even where you take it from, you know, once you have even more of the structure and can sort of create your PR roadmap, as was one of the contributions Donna made that we'll be doing, you know, to really understand and how to effectively power it specifically into your business. But I mean, you guys, the injections you've already had have been amazing and phenomenal. So I'm so grateful, and I love hearing those stories, and I'm excited to be able to include some of them in the story. I think it's really powerful. And so yes, please be sure you email, especially the business development stuff. I think that
absolutely that's the key area. Yeah, you know, we want to get the story out, but we're not a story if we don't have the business development. And to see how that has. I'm really looking forward to the 10 weeks, just so we can really hone that. And you do that really well. I have the energy, but you give me the structure to funnel it. And that is really powerful. It's like a laser beam as opposed to, a big old light bulb, just saying it. So I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that, Meg. And I'm so glad that we, connected. And it's amazing too, because I think all of you on this call, like it's not like we had an existing relationship before. So I've been in PR for a long time. The people that I've worked with and known for a long time, we have these relationships, but for me, it's gratifying to see that you guys all, because this model was something for our company that was new. This is a division that we're starting to see, like, okay, can we apply the strategies and tactics that we've been successful with for our one-on-one clients and the brands and companies that we represented to have other people be able to replicate and then repeat and have the same success. And we're still building and developing there, and that's why we've offered these amazing discounts for early adopters. So because it's a new concept for our company in sharing that information. So we really welcome and appreciate your feedback so we can see how our advice and helps you to power up your implementation. So I'm grateful for that and really appreciate you guys sharing that. All right, well, let's continue right along. All of you guys are amazing and in the VIP circle that we have on the screen right now. Donna, how are you today? Nice to see you. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, I'm great. Hi, Mary. Hi, everybody. It's super to be here. So I'm going to try and keep it in the 45 seconds. To me, the biggest opportunity was really the aha moment is really just putting yourself out there. And then if you have a story to tell, you will find who will listen. Like it may seem really simple, but to me that was almost like the biggest takeaway. Like, so hone your story and there will be those who want to hear it. And so just keep putting yourself out there. And as you know, I was able to book a couple of podcasts and possibly some radio interviews and I mentioned in Huffington Post and hopefully another one on the way. And so it's, the opportunities are just coming through, but I would tell people not to be intimidated by that, but really just to know, to hone your story and be sure that, if you put it out there, somebody will listen.
Yes, no, I think that's really key, and the persistence. Like I feel like people are either too afraid. We did an article and a piece on reasons why people fail in their PR efforts, and I would say the number one thing is just not getting started, right? So people either feel like they have to hire a PR agency to do it for them, and then maybe that's either not in their budget or it's just not something that they want to do for whatever reason, because it isn't a guaranteed return. It is a long-term investment versus sort of having that control over doing it yourself. So no, I love to hear that. And I love that you've already seen so much success and, you have had, and you also, even before the course, had really amazing PR opportunities. And so it's exciting to see you now taking those PR opportunities and then knowing what to do with them after the fact. And that's one thing we haven't even started the course, right? It's just publicity session.
To me, it's really, really interesting because I had so many big media things that I didn't know what to do with afterwards. Like I'm actually one of those people you described before. Like I had a lot of coverage and in a different area and at different times. And I really didn't know how to leverage that and to use it for my, I don't want to say for my own good, but you know what I mean? Really make the most of it. Let's put it that way. And so I'm really looking forward to that part too.
I love that. That's exciting. Well, thank you for sharing. Let me see who else we have. I think a couple folks have their hand raised. Is there anybody else who wants to go on camera and pitch? Let's see. I think we have a couple other folks. So if you want to go on camera and pitch, feel free to turn your cameras on. Let's see, Sarah, let me make sure. Oh, hi, Shamanth. Are you ready to go? Would you like to go next?
Okay.
Okay. All right, whenever you're ready to begin.
Okay, well, I'll keep it short. Well, hi, everyone. I'm Shamanth. And for me, I would say the three biggest takeaways was, one of the things I was always concerned about media is how do I present myself? It's all about me. But one of the things I learned from the free lesson so far is that it's not about me. It's about the transformation that I provide through the service I provide. So when pitching to media, it's about trying to pitch them a theme. And if they like it, they'll come back to you and, of course, feature you as well, amongst other things. And it's also not about landing the biggest media mention. It's about just the next step. Take small steps to get there. And finally, it's also about building relationships, as you realize, it's about paying it forward. So, something that may not work now, may work in the future. So always keep in touch, and as Mary said, the friendly stalking. So for me, it was an eye opener. One is that whole, it's not about me, it's about the story. I think that was a big shift, and also just building relationships. So that's it.
I love that. Thank you. And yeah, I think the relationship thing is so key. And I had a chance to look at what you posted, and I loved what you shared in the thread. There were many things in the thread that I thought would be useful and helpful in telling the story. But, you know, at the end of the day, PR is this acronym that for so many people is ubiquitous. And it's like, what does it mean? What is, and people get it confused with so many things that it's not. So like PR isn't digital marketing. It isn't, so many other things that people think that it is. And PR, at the end of the day, it stands for public relations. And I like to say it stands for personal relations. So, developing those personal relationships really is key to, understanding PR. But then, and that's where I talk a lot about, and in the course, we will focus a lot on paid, owned, earned, and social media, and really understanding how you guys learn and leverage those so that you're not just filling out another worksheet, you're not just doing another pitch based on a template, but that you can take the worksheets and you can take the templates and then really understand from an instinctual perspective, based on what you've learned in the course, how to apply that in a way that really effectively helps you scale your individual business. And I think at the core of that, one of the core concepts is really understanding how to marry a knowledge automation with personal relationships. So certainly in scaling a business, systems and automation is key. But at the end of the day, if you don't have personal relationships and you don't understand how to really effectively bring those together and like sort of culminate that into what you're doing, then I think you won't be successful or as successful with your PR efforts. So no, I love that, Shemath, and thank you. And I think that a lot of what you shared will be really really key and really integral. And as I mentioned too, I think I sent Shemath a note about this earlier, but would love you guys, some of the tips that you guys share, we would love to include, and we're in the midst of redoing the 5 days course. So for those of you that are interested, would love to sort of link to some of your experience and share. So I'm sure there will be tons of leftover copy of things, because with news, it's very short, it's very truncated, we're able to include, but we'd love to link to and include some of the advice and feedback and then link to your websites. Maybe we could create a new section in 5 days. It's funny because it's already too long and we're trying to shorten it, but seeing all of the awesome pitches that came in inspired me for that. I was like, how can we use all this great content that we can't use in the story? Where can we place it? So that's something too that we'll try and figure out a way to kind of help to share your guys' story with a broader audience. Okay, and I'm just going to check the chat because I have not been in the chat as much because I have not seen it. Okay, awesome. All right, awesome. Sarah, I think everybody else is having no issues with audio, Sarah, so let us know if you're still having audio issues. And yeah, I will also mention, so one of the things that we had an issue with was the tech. So speaking of automation, I'll end with this unless anyone else has. I think we've covered everybody who wanted to pitch today. If you want to pitch and you haven't pitched, please let us know. But one of the issues that we did have was with our automation. So we use so many different systems, and one of the resources we'll have in the course for you guys is sort of recommendations on scaling and the automations that we love and that we think are amazing. But some of our automations, they all have to talk to each other. The integrations have to talk to each other, and the tech behind the scenes, when it works, it's amazing and it's brilliant and it's beautiful and it makes our lives easier. And when it doesn't work, then none of those things happen. So this week we actually found out, I think there were about 200 of you, not on this call, but that in general, like we've had just like our list has been exploding like crazy since we launched the 5 days challenge. And so there were probably a good 200 people out of like the 1,000 people that just since we launched the challenge have been new to add to the list, that somehow they came in through multiple different funnels set up. They came through a different funnel. And so they had the access to the 5 days course through Thinkific, but they weren't tagged in our system. So they when we basically were like telling people like, oh, you want to be a VIP? Like here's a discount. We're having a flash sale. They never hired any of that. So we figured that out because we had a call with Infusionsoft, who's amazing, and we're on their influencer panel. So Infusionsoft helped us figure that out. We have some really cool folks behind the scenes working on our Infusionsoft too. And actually, one of the biggest reasons we figured out, I have to give credit to you guys, the PR influencer community. A woman who has not gone through 5 days yet and has not gone through the paid trainings, she was very sweet to reach out to me and she said, hey, I know the power of this stuff and I think something's off here because I'm like, the way she had taken the quiz and the way she was getting tagged, she was actually the initial person who flagged it for us. But so we found like 200 people who were sort of like off in a corner that were like not technically being added into kind of this whole thing that's been fueling and growing with the 5 days challenge. And so as a result, to apologize for our tech issues and failures, we are through Sunday going to offer, we have like a $200 discount. So we're not bringing, because we're not bringing back, some of you guys got in on very early adopter prices. So we're not bringing back VIP. Those of you that are VIPs. That option will never be available again. We do now have an elite upgrade option that will include a really cool podcast speed dating session. All of you that are VIPs will be getting that. But for new people coming on, you have the option, if you're interested in joining into the course, to go through either of those. And through Sunday, it will be a $200 discount for those people that are interested. And then the other thing that we, thankfully to tech, have figured out and completed this week is the option. And we're so honored by so many of you that are already in the program that wanted to become affiliates. So because this was our first major launch, initially I was really nervous about just like the concept of affiliates, because it seemed overwhelming, as something to add on to what we were doing. But we've been fortunate to have a lot of support from a lot of really awesome experts. And not only that, but we've been only, opening it. I posted earlier in the Facebook group for 10 weeks to ask if any of you guys would be interested. And I was so honored and really appreciative of all of you weighing in with so much positivity and just saying yes, yes, yes. So we're so grateful for that. And all of you that so you won't see that posted in PR Influencers. We're not opening it up widely. So if you're a member of the current community, then we welcome you to become affiliate. If you're not a member of the current community, then it's only people that I already have a personal relationship or connection with that we're adding to potentially apply to be an affiliate. But anyone who's in the community now, we would welcome you to become an affiliate. And so we'll post that link, I think if my team hasn't already, in the thread where all of you earlier this week said that you're interested, because we would love and be honored by all of you guys who had a positive experience to share that. Because one of the things for us in this initial early phase, and why, we really want to just like, I love hearing your stories of success and seeing, that's why I was inspired for the story idea. It's like, okay, there's different ways, we've done it this way for so long with big brands and big companies. And, even when we were early in the formation of this company and the launch for this division of it, we worked for one-on-one clients. What I do is very strategic and it's very unique. So it's always very specific to their specific issue. And so for a long time, we really held off on launching this division of the company because it was sort of like, well, I don't know how we can replicate that. You have to have something that's systemized, something that's replicable in a scalable way. And I think that the key is that there are things that can be scaled, and you guys are all a testament to that, right? So like the things that can be scaled are the things that you guys are telling us right now. So those are the things that I'm really excited to share with you. And I think that all of you as business owners have had like these incredible, amazing stories. And the thing that I want to end with today, before we go off, is with Cha, because Cha is a business owner. She's in Sweden, and she has been amazing to support our launch. She reached out to me, and this just goes to show like kind of the kismet of things like connecting and coming together. She reached out to me before we had started the launch. I was actually on a trip speaking at the PR News, asked me to speak at their Crisis Communications Summit for senior PR folks. And so I was on travel to that, and I get this email from Cha, and she's like, hey, I heard, I want to be a social media manager for your company. Are you interested? And I was like, I don't know. I was like, things are really crazy. I'm not focused on that right now, but I'd love to know more about you. And I said, and I'm always interested in investing in women who are, interested in powering up their own success. So if that's you, maybe we can connect. But Cha is in Sweden. She's from Brazil. I'm in California. I was like, there's no way, this would work. And so, Cha, I think as a final note to close things, I would love to just hear your story as one of our insiders for PR Influencers, because you've been amazing. You've already become an affiliate. You've already started. I've started seeing people like coming in on your link. Like you are interactive in the community. You are a business owner. You were inspired and wanted to be part of this. And you got my attention, right? So you, even before you took the course, you did a lot of the things like the friendly stalking, the reaching out to me. I was like, how did you find my, like, my first reaction to Cha was like, how did you find me? Like, what do you, like, who are you? Where did you come from? You know? And then it was, and then she really, really, to me, like, I'm so grateful to you, Cha. I can't tell you enough. Like, you've been an incredible part of our team. Over the past few months, you really have like just been, you know, amazing. And just like I'm grateful for the women that have been part of this circle, that we've been able to like grow this community so quickly. So I love, Cha, your story. And I'd love to just give you a chance to tell a bit about your story, and let's end with that today. And then, yeah, I hope you all too just have a beautiful weekend. But Cha, tell us about, you know, tell us what inspired you, and then, you know, for yourself as a business owner, because you own your own photography business. You are a business owner. You know, what's your story?
Hi, everyone, and thank you very much. Thank you for all the opportunities, Mary. It has been amazing working with you. Well, I born in Brazil, and I moved from there when I was 19 to Iceland, and I lived in Iceland for 8 years. Then I moved to Sweden. And as a lot of us get this thing about Brazilians or Latinas moving to Europe, you know, we don't get a job that we want, or we can't participate in the community as most of the European people. And I went against all these odds, and I decided that I was going to study something. I was breastfeeding at the time. I had to wake up 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning. I took this time that I was awake to learn. And I would go to the internet and take all the classes I could in photography and marketing and social media. And I was thinking, there's no way this is going to work out, because there is already 3 photographers in my town. My town is a small town. And on the end, I got all the clients because I knew how to make the marketing for my photography. I was going around and asking around, and got some free clients, of course, and got some to photograph some kids and some stuff like that. But when I pitch them my services, I was not pitching only like, oh yeah, I take photos. That's it. No, when they would come to me, I would take photos. I would have patience with the kids, because that was not one of the things that the other photographers were having. And now that when then I delivered the service, I would deliver in this very nice package, you know, and all that. And then I made a page where I would put the photos, and the people could share with family and all that. So after a year or so, I had a lot of job here as a photographer. And I was not even speaking Swedish at the time. And a lot of people was like, wow, how could you do that? Like, you're from Brazil, you end up in Sweden. And after a while, I start to do it social media management for people who has no idea. I have talked to some friends, and they have some business, and they're, oh, but how do you promote that? Oh, a lot of people think, oh, Facebook is only for talking to friends or something like that. No, or big companies who have money to invest in big ads. And I start to give this advices and all that, and start to study each day more and more about that. It became, now it's my full job, you know, photography and the social media management. And it was when I saw Mary's email in some of the page that I was working on, and I decided, oh, PR can be this great thing to add to my social media business, you know, because most of the other social media managers, they don't have that skill. Some of them do, but some of them has no clue what to do. So I decided to pitch Mary, and here I am learning every day more. And it's so many skills that it's amazing. I just want to, now I know how to craft, and I know how to direct people, some of my clients, how they can pitch themselves, you know, and get these successful stories just like you guys, you know.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that, Cha. And I think, you know, all of you have these powerful, amazing stories. And Cha, I think too, for you, you know, your pitch and sharing your story too, the personal, and all of you, right? So when you share, when we're vulnerable, it's true, I think, in sales, just as business owners and with a company, when you share your personal sort of story and give insight to, you know, you moving from one place to another, and maybe the stereotypes and the things behind that, and then share, how you overcame that. And then I just saw Jody respond to you in the comments, with like the connection. Then all of a sudden she feels a connection. She feels connected to you. I think, that works for pitching. It also is a very effective just as a business owner and just as a human, right? Because with PR, you get caught up in like, well, is it B2B or is it B2C? But at the end of the day, it's all P2B, right? P2P, it's person to person, it's human to human, H to H, whatever you call it. It's all about personal relationships at the end of the day, which I think many of you really shared and exemplified in your pitches. And one of the reasons I'm so excited and just thrilled by this community and what you guys are helping us to build and really giving us feedback for how we continue to build it and how we deliver it in the future. So thank you so much to all of you. I'm grateful.
Mary?
Yes.
Quick question. Do you suggest that we create, when we're pitching ourselves to like podcasts and guest blogging, to create a pitch sheet, or should we just do like a simple email?
So when you say a pitch sheet, what do you mean?
Like a one page, like what your experience is, what your expertise is, like the topics that you want to talk about, or do you suggest us just pitch straight directly to that podcast or that guest blog?
So that is a great question. And what I would suggest is that you set up your brand folder. So I think the brand folder is the amazing, amazing resource. And that's why I'm so grateful that they kind of became part of this, company. And I don't align myself with brands that I don't believe in, right? So if like, they were like, oh, we'll give out this free thing and, to all your students. And I was like, oh, I don't know if this is a great thing. I would not have included it as the course, but it is incredible. The difference, if you include just a link. So nobody wants to, like, if you include an attachment, it increases the opportunity for your email to get filtered as spam when you're sending it to mass audiences. And most people, like, they don't have time. We're opening stuff on our phones. We're busy. Like, if you send me an attachment, I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to send it to my team. A URL is the best way to just quickly like give people what they want. So with a URL, and you'll see for those of you that are affiliates or that are good that we'll share, we actually set up collections. So I actually loved when we were setting it up, because we had been we had said, because I was before we'd used Dropbox, but we had set up the brand folder. And I think even on the last call, I told you guys, look, we hadn't even fully set up ours because we've been so busy with this launch. But because we have this affiliate thing, we needed to set up a way and put things into collections. You guys will be able to see sort of how you can organize things into collections. And I would really recommend that. And we included that. That's in the 10 weeks course, the steps for that. And what we'll do is we'll do a walkthrough with brand folder once you guys get the basics set up, so they can help you to kind of jump to the next level with setting it up. But I would say you want to keep it very simple. So in your pitch should be very specific. It should be condensed, compelled, and customized to the person that you're pitching to. And then you want to include a link to your brand folder that has everything. So you should have your bio. You should have the photos that you like. You should have, your resume even possibly. It really depends on what you're pitching and what opportunities. The nice thing with brand folder is that you can password protect things and you can have different collections. So like for instance, the link we will share with you guys, the link that's in all the automation that we have for the affiliates and that goes out in the emails, is different than perhaps a link that I would share for somebody when we're pitching a story and it's just, headshots, bio, resume, things like that, which is different from a link that I would share with people for when I do speaking engagements, which has a whole other set of resources, but that are always common and the same to those particular people that need that information. So I say a link is the best way to do it, because you're pitching people who are busy. You want them to include the information you want them to include. So by using the brand folder that you already have, you can really curate that response and control what they're seeing, because the alternative is that they'll either Google you or they won't look at or bother. Like I get tons of emails, pitches all the time that have attachments, and I just unfortunately don't have time. It's not that I'm mean or I don't want to look through it. It's that if I have to go through an attachment and then worry about, oftentimes when someone's sending me something, it's not the time that I'm going through it. I will block off for productivity chunks of time that I'll be focusing on writing, and I need all that information organized in one place. So the easier it is for me to be able to just share it with my team who's helping to organize, because for those, I'll pick who I'm going to include and what segments and what quotes I'm going to maybe use. But then beyond that, like the photos will be getting added by someone else. The links will be getting added by someone else. And so if it's not easy for me to share that with my team so that stuff can be quickly added and condensed, then it just won't get included. So I would say that a link is the best way that you can achieve both, that you do your pitch, you share your information, but then you include a link to everything else, so that then when they click on that link, they can see all of your, all of the reasons why you're fabulous and they should highlight you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Any other questions before we end for today? And thank you guys all so much for joining us and your pitches and stories. If any of you guys have questions, I'm happy to take them before we end the call today. Let's see, either in the chat or on. Yes, Cha.
When you're pitching someone, can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. When you're pitching someone, and like you say, the friends talking thing, you go to maybe Twitter, say something nice, retweet her, and let's say you pitch someone and you pitch a job or interview or something, and this person never answer you. Is it okay to maybe let a week or two pass and do it again?
Yes, and actually I got a really good follow-up pitch email today that I actually thought about adding to the pitch vault. So I think in the 10 weeks course, I'm going to put this in the pitch vault. So that'll probably be in there next week, and I'll give you guys a good example. I never saw the first email, so I get like hundreds of emails a day. I can't see them all. And so it depends on, you know, most of the time I see them because they come in on my phone. And so just because I can't respond, sometimes it's that I just get busy and then we forget. And then depending on, you know, we try to respond, but that's why we have the autoresponder too. And then I have a dedicated email that is much more direct, where I am responding right away to things usually. But even there, sometimes when things get really, really busy, sometimes it's a little bit longer. So I definitely, and I always think about this myself too, because even on my end, you know, for the most part, like it's true that people just in the day and age that we live in, people are busy and people get emails like sometimes like all the time, and they're doing other things. So it's very easy for email to slip through the cracks. So I think follow-up is a very important thing. And I think there are different ways, and we'll go over this in the 10 weeks course more. I think it's very nuanced in the way that you follow up. So definitely as a reporter, because I do write, you know, writing stories for Entrepreneur and for Huffington, it's very annoying if someone's following up just to be like, are you going to use me? Are you going to use me? Are you going to use me? Like that annoys me. And it honestly, like it's a turnoff to want to feature someone. So and oftentimes, like I'll already have included their information in the story. I'll often be planning to use them. But then like if someone's constantly following up with me, like, are you going to use me? Like I haven't, you know, we do the courtesy of always sharing with people that we are planning to use, of letting them know before it's published. We make sure like we have the team go through and dedicate, even if somebody just applied like for a story for consideration and we didn't use it, we always make sure that we appreciate them and share gratitude and say, hey, thank you. Here's the final story, you know, and so they can see what was used and hopefully learn from that. But we're just not always, so I think and that's true for journalists in general, that it's a fine line. I shared that journalists it's the best way to piss off journalists or to annoy journalists is to like constantly follow up and be like, are you going to use my, you know, are you going to use this? Are you going to use this? But that said, there is nothing wrong with follow-up. And oftentimes, you know, it's really important to follow up. And even though I say that, as a journalist, sometimes someone will follow up and it will be something that maybe I didn't see or maybe I missed. So I think a lot of it has to do with the tone of how they follow up and sort of like the entitlement or the expectation. Because I think that's part of it too. Like when someone follows up and they're like, so are you using my piece? Like when and exactly when? And it's like, I'm researching still, I'm compiling, I don't know, like I have like all these things. So then it becomes this thing where I'm not going to be able to even answer their question. And and that's oftentimes with journalists. It depends on, there's so many different pieces that come into play. It's with your editors, it's with your deadlines, it's with what research is available. So with journalists, I would say follow-up is good. It's just really important to do it in a tone and manner that sort of is respectful to their process and like kind of, you know, and acknowledges like, hey, if you don't get back to me until you write the story, that's great too, you know, and not that journalists should be like put on some high pedestal, but it's just that I always like to say when I'm not the journalist, right? I always tell my clients, like the journalist has the power of the pen. So at the end of the day, you want to make sure that whatever you're doing in that relationship, that you're kind of remembering that, because that's good for you, right, to remember that. But then I would say for other relationships, you know, beyond, so for journalists, it is important to follow up, very important. It's just important to remember it. And then I think that same thing bleeds over into other business relationships, right? So sometimes people are just busy and they just don't follow, they don't remember. So follow up, I think, is critical. And yes, doing it in a way where you are being respectful and kind and just giving someone an opportunity to acknowledge that they were busy, you know, and maybe didn't get back to you. It can really make the difference between having a really good result and outcome and maybe somebody who really intended to get back to you, but just didn't because they were busy.
Okay.
I have one thing to say. Hi, Mary.
Hi.
Hi. So, you know, it's funny, just funny on what you just said. There was two different pitches through Harrow. One was like 2 months ago, and one was probably about 6 weeks. Well, the gal just got back to me like 3 days ago. And I had already approached her, like you said, with respect, not trying to bug her. And she just one-liner like, it hasn't published yet or whatever, or something about her editor. So I'm like, okay, because I didn't want to step on toes. And it got published, and that was great. I mean, I've yet to put that up and do all that. And then the other one is, I worked with somebody in February, a guy who was very stoic, and he had certain criteria, and he put the rules out there, and it's like, oh my God, I don't want to, you know. And do you know that what was it about last week? I get a letter from a woman in Arizona. She goes, I saw the article you were quoted in. And I'm like, where's the article? She just wrote it to me, and, you know, she wanted to turn me on to Jehovah. So, but nonetheless, it was like, okay, at least I know it's out there published. But it's kind of weird. Some people are okay with you in terms of journalists to follow up, and some are like, you know, don't bother me, I'm busy. So so I'm just kind of confirming what you said. It's good. So, but the one other thing I had a question about is, I know that you talked about this, so I have this brevity on these pitches of ours. I tell you, I want to get everything in there, right? And then I realize that it's getting to be too much about me, you know, about what I did. And I mean, I thought it was a great pitch. It was only 2 minutes, but too long. But I thought, you know, how am I going to do this? And so then I started taking me out of the equation, well, some of me out of the equation. And I realized that this little short thing I have, though it doesn't say all the juicy parts, I think that are important for someone to realize I have some expertise in that area. Like maybe, and I remember Randall talking, like maybe it's just to whet their appetite and have them think, well, tell me more kind of a thing.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, but I really want you to review it. And so my final thing is, I know there was a thread you were creating for us to pitch you, and I don't know where that thread's at.
It's in the 10 weeks course. So for those of you that have already signed up, and all of you on this call, you guys can absolutely just access it in the 10 weeks course. So in the Facebook group, just add it there, and I'm happy to take a look at it, and I'll give my feedback.
Good.
But yeah, for the VIPs, that's absolutely something I'd love to check out. And I think, you know, thank you for confirming that. And yeah, you know, I think at the end of the day too, because, you know, a lot of PR, people think that PR is a lot of things that it's not, right? So a lot of times when people think of PR, what they're really thinking of is earned media, which means news coverage. And so that has evolved, because when you look at media, you have everything from like cable talk shows to, you know, so many podcasts, to so many different things that bridge all of the different areas of paid, owned, earned, and social media. And so that's why I talk a lot about that and really try to unpack and explain to people where those differences are and then how to understand them. But at the end of the day too, it's ultimately about, I think, kindness and networking in a sense. So for journalists, you know, you may be busy, you know, we're all busy, we all have stuff going on, but you also, at the end of the day, you have to be kind, I think. And at the end of the day too, you want to develop relationships in business. So I think, you know, that goes a long way, right? So I think, you know, even though the reporter has the power of the pen, I would say those that I've worked with that I really enjoy and that you have the long-standing relationship with, and I see it a lot. I think many journalists, you know, unfortunately they are busy. Oftentimes they have competing deadlines, and so that can be a challenge. And it's not that they don't mean to be kind, but I think you often, hopefully, will see that people that they intentionally, you know, want to be kind and want to respond to you, and whether that's setting up an autoresponder and saying, hey, sorry, I can't get back to you right away, or whether that's you know, making sure that they do share your story once it's published. I think all of those are important. So appreciate you sharing that. And I will just remind you guys all, that's one of the things we go through in the 5 days course, is to make sure and maybe we'll add it to 10 weeks for those that didn't have a chance to go through all of 5 days, but, you know, make sure you have a Google alert set for yourself. It's not going to catch everything, but you definitely want to set up a Google alert, because I'm always amazed. Like, I get quoted all the time, and I'm always in stories, and I'm like, did I say that? So it's good to do that, so that you have, you know, you want to have control. You want to make sure that you're sort of, from a business perspective, that you're controlling and shaping the message. And you can't do that if you don't really have a good idea of what's going out there in the public space. So that's great that you shared that. I love that story.
Mary, I have another question. So would you just use the same email that you used the first time from Haro to email them as a follow-up?
Well, okay, so good question. And we can go in depth on this more on Tuesday if you'd like.
Okay.
But basically, no, I would do more research. I would figure out, so the people that are successful, actually you could do both. So oftentimes Haro, I will tell you, in this story that I'm working on, let me just give you an example. In this story that I'm working on, Haro requires that you set deadlines for queries. And when you set a really far out deadline, so sometimes I'm working on stories where I have an idea for a story. I'm like, oh, let me do the research on that so that when I'm ready to publish a story, then it comes out. Or when I'm ready to publish a story, that all the research is there for me when I'm ready to actually sit down and start working on it. And so in that case, the deadline is really more notional. And that happens a lot with Haro, right? Where it's this notional deadline. And that's often true with reporters, because oftentimes the deadline that they set for you, when I was a senior spokesperson for the federal government, I would always tell people that, like, when I wrote with the reporters, my first question was always like, what's your deadline? Because I'm having to go back to presidential appointees and people that are very busy. And I always knew that, like, it's sort of a negotiated deadline. Like, the deadline they're telling me isn't their real deadline. Like, that's not when that's when they need to hear back from me for them to be able to write it and for them to be able to maybe get it to their editor and for them to maybe get it to the graphics department. There's all these other things that have to happen, right? So a deadline is really a notional deadline. And I knew, because I've been a reporter, that at the end of the day, depending on the importance of the person you're including in this story, that, like, for instance, if you're the president of the United States and I get back to you, past your deadline before you've actually published your story, most likely you're going to include that quote, right? So think of that when you think of, like, deadlines and who you're submitting stuff to, and also just how important you might be for their potential story and the likelihood that they might include it. Now, that said, what I'm getting to goes to using the Haro email. And this is why we ask people to submit to the Haro email. And Chad, maybe if you can add also the Haro email again to the chat so everybody has it. The beauty of using the Haro email is that I can go in when I've blocked off we have separate inboxes. So we have separate emails for different parts of the team and for different projects that we're working on and for our one-on-one clients versus for PR influencers and all these different things, and for Haro. And so the Haro inbox, and also just pitch, we're registered, like, as a journalist, I'm included in, like, Meltwater's database, Cision's database, Muckrak's database. So I get emails from not only Haro pitching me on stuff, but, like, people that I've never heard of or didn't ask for questions or stories that I'm not working on. And that clogs up that inbox tremendously. I mean, we're talking to the tune of, like, maybe sometimes 200 emails a day. It's insane. Like, I was on a screen share with somebody and they were like, oh wow, 50,000 unopened emails. That's interesting. So that said, so I couldn't go through, even though all those emails are coming through Haro, if I tried to go to Haro to find all of the emails that had come in through that inbox and look in that inbox, it would take me, like, weeks, right? So that's why I use the Haro email, because then I can go into my account as a contributor on Haro, and at one glance, I can see all of the people who pitched me on that story in one organized place. So as far as productivity as a business owner and as a journalist, clearly that's the best option. And so that's why we ask people to use that email, because it filters you there. Now, back to what I was saying with Haro. Haro requires that you list a deadline. So if I list a deadline, and because I've played around with this, if I list a deadline that's maybe like 6 months out, because I know that I'm not going to publish a story for 6 months, then usually, I might get a bunch of really good initial research, but maybe I'm not going to get everything that I need, because people use Haro, like, I don't look at Haro every day. Different people look at Haro at different times. So if you really are doing research and then you need more input for your story, you might publish the same query a couple different times so that different people who are seeing it in the morning, the evening, or the afternoon edition at different times of the week, the month, the year that you're looking for it, are actually responding. So for that, each time you create a new query, Haro is generating a new unique email address. So back to this particular incident, this story that I'm working on, that this whole call is around. I had actually published a Haro query for this a long time ago, before even PR Influencers launched, looking at, because I wanted to include many, many different voices, many variety of people, different types of, whether you're using a PR agency, ROI there, DIY entrepreneurs not affiliated or even associated with us, and then now this launch. And so I started doing this research a long time ago, and so one woman actually saw it, and so we had set up a multitude. We'll set up a multitude of Haro queries kind of going along. If we don't get the research we need, we'll set up another one, and then that comes into a different email. Well, a woman reached out to me that actually is going to be featured as, like, one of the most prominent emails in the story, And she reached out and said, hey, she did the friendly stalking. So she followed me on like Twitter, LinkedIn, all the different channels. And then she reached out and she was like, hey, I saw this and I'm perfect for it. And your story just closed, but I think this is the perfect story we have to tell. And she included the entire case study and explained a really great synopsis of how her PR agency had really helped someone to get a demonstrated measurable ROI through this really disruptive and unique tactic. And, you know, a lot of what I talk about is about disruption. So it was a really great fit for the story. She just wasn't able to get it. She could no longer email that address because it didn't exist anymore. Like with Haro, if it goes past whatever notional deadline someone has put in Haro, it will get rejected. Like it won't come through to me. So she let me know that. And because she had done such a great job and she was reaching out on like multiple channels, it really got my attention, even though it was really busy. I think this was like, I remember I was like rushing to go. We had to approve something, some final stuff for the National Association of Women's Business Owners Conference that was happening the next day. And I was running around doing a ton of stuff related to that. So I was really busy, but it really did catch my attention. And I thought, oh, I want to use this in the story. And so it's funny because it didn't click to me, even though she had said it in her pitch, it didn't click that it wasn't going to be there when I went to Haro to start writing the beginnings of the story, that wouldn't be there. And so it was really, I think it goes to the point that do it all, right? So pitch them, get their attention, have your story be strong enough to really get their attention, and understand that the best case scenario is to use that Haro email and then also reach out on other channels so that when they go back in and they look for it, it's there. But because she'd done such a good job of reaching out to me, and then we even connected and had calls and have talked about partnering and business development, because she owns a PR agency as well in, I think, Colorado. You know, so we've, you know, it's developed into a whole other relationship. And so as I began to write the story, I knew I wanted to use her as like an initial thing to say, you know, it's not a waste. I'm not saying, you know, this whole thing isn't saying that it's a waste of money to hire a PR agency. I'm just saying that if that's not for you, there are other ways, right? So here's how it works, you know, well, and I didn't think it was like, you know, nobody, like, it's not good for me to say, here's what we do good, like, here's what I've done, but no, here's how someone else, you know, also as a PR agency has made it work really well and delivered for clients. But then here's how, if you don't have that budget, or you just don't want to do that right now, or this isn't the right fit for you right now, here's how you can also do it. So when I went to sit down and write the story, even though I was like doing the research, looking at what we had in so far, and it's on a multitude of different queries, because like I said, we've been researching it for a long time, so we kind of had to be like, I had to remember like, okay, what subject lines did I use for this one? You know, I knew, because she had done such a great job, and her name's Elizabeth, you guys will read about her in the story, because she had done such a great job reaching out to me and getting my attention and developing a personal relationship with me, then even though she wasn't in that aggregate of stories that I needed, I knew to go and look for her. So does that answer your question and just kind of give you, because again, my goal is not to just give you guys, like with PR, there's never going to be a check the box, here's a worksheet, this is the right answer. With PR, it's always going to be a gray area of sort of giving you guys the information you need to understand and contextualize, and then make decisions that really help you to empower yourself and be successful with the results.
Yeah, that was helpful. Thank you, May. So I had one last question. So if I submitted a pitch and I go into my Haro account and I go to pitches and it's not there, does that mean it didn't submit right?
So one of the things that I haven't, sorry, so one of the things that people can do, and this is probably not what happened to you. I'm laughing because I've been doing this a lot lately, because I'm trying to organize, and again, productivity, right? And we get so many pitches. So when someone pitches me, like I will get pitches that are completely off topic and completely like irrelevant to a story. So you can reject a pitch. So I would say that if it's not there, either they rejected it, which is possible, but probably unlikely, or maybe it didn't submit right. So I would say that you should probably submit it again if the deadline is still available. Because yeah, and then sometimes, you know, because there's no harm in doing that, right? It just comes through, and I'll do a workshop with you guys. I'm going to do it behind the scenes again. I know we did it. If you, there was one, we went behind the scenes, I think in the first VIP session, we went behind the scenes in the Haro account. So that one is recorded. That one's in the VIP vault. If you go there, you can look at it. But I'm going to do a more in-depth one, just a recorded one that I'll also add to the official course, so that you guys can see sort of, what it looks like. I think in that one I did show you guys, because that's how Richard came through, who is very active in the PR influencer community. But I'll show you guys how, you can go through and you can not only, you can rate the pitches, but then you can also accept or reject them. And then one of the other tools, I think Haro is a great place to start, and it reaches a lot of people. But then one of the other things that you can do is use things like SourceBottle. There are so many other ones that are free. So I know we talked about on the last VIP call how News Profs now charges, but there are many other ones that are free. So it just depends on the amount of time you want to invest in it per week in terms of doing Haro. I think, and that's where when we do the session on June 9th, we're going to host a webinar called Create Your PR Roadmap. And so that was Donna's actually suggestion, and Donna actually gave us that idea as something that would be really useful for her. And so really, because it really it's things like, how much time, how much money, it's figuring out those things first, because ultimately the world is full of possibilities. So, PR, you can power your PR to do really whatever you want, but it's just how much time and how much money do you have to invest in it, and then making your decisions based on that, and in terms of how you across those channels integrate paid, owned, earned, and social media to really make it work for your business in a way that scales and develops your business development.
Okay, thank you, Mary.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you guys so much. I hope you all have a beautiful, beautiful weekend. I will post the affiliate link in the section in 10 weeks for those of you that said thank you, Meg. And yeah, I'd love for those of you guys that want to join up to the program. Like I said, anybody who joins before Sunday, I think it is, gets $200 off because we have that tech glitch. So since they weren't able to join the VIP, but we've closed the VIP. We love everyone who's in the VIP, and we're glad to have all of you guys. And what we'll do too is, for those of you who have questions about becoming an affiliate, what we've scheduled is after Tuesday's VIP call, so we're going to host Tuesday's call again at 1:30 Pacific time. So this coming Tuesday, the VIP call will be at 1:30 Pacific. And then following that, we will do a question Q&A for affiliates, just to, if you guys have questions, we can answer those. So thank you all so much. And I hope you guys all have a beautiful, beautiful weekend. And sending you all of my best and warmth and good, happy pitching and good, happy media placements. So get out there and pitch and implement, because this isn't another course. I feel like this really is about implementation. So I love hearing your guys' story about how you guys are implementing. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.